My name is Safia Lamrani. I am a half British, half Moroccan actor and writer. I grew up in Leicester in England and spent a lot of time in Tangier, which is where my family in Morocco are from. And now I'm moving between London and Tangier a lot, so spending time in both, which is really nice. So definitely it started as an actor more than a writer. And this is because I just love telling stories and I feel very excited to share characters. And I think the best way to either educate or to inspire or make people excited is through art. I really believe this. And I think through film and theatre, people take a message and they become excited by something. So at school, if we were learning about something, it was always through acting it out or doing drama that I felt I received this message. So the idea of sharing stories with people that I feel are important or that have a character that's important, we can learn something, we can help people. I think this is the best way to do it. Like when we had the lockdowns, for example, in COVID, and nobody could do anything, no one could leave the house. Everyone wanted to watch TV, everyone wanted to watch film because this is what brings joy. But even if it's something sad, it still brings something important. So I want to be part of that and part of that industry and share that. Sure. So it was while I was finishing my master's at GSA, Guildford School of Acting, a colleague and I were so tired of being in lockdown. We were doing our classes on Zoom, everything had been shut, and so we were missing being on stage. And so we thought the best way to do that was to write it ourselves. And so me and a woman called Kitty Evans loved the story of Little Women. We've always loved this classic story, but we wanted to adapt it to be a theatre, like a play, a theatre show, and to have just the women in it. So to take away from the romances in the text and to take away from those elements and just focus on the relationships between the sisters. And I think this was inspired by lockdown because we were both staying with our own families. And I have a sister, she has many siblings. So we're staying with our families. That relationship between siblings is so like love, hate, powerful. And we wanted to look at those nuances through a classical story. So this is why we decided to write it. And then obviously we're both actors, so we wanted to be in it, to take these characters and make them alive. So that came from just a perpetual stillness in lockdown and wanting to get out and do something. And the best way to do that is just to make it yourself. So that's why we did this. And it was a great experience. It was hard. It was really hard because I'd done a one-person show before this, but I'd never done something as big as this in London. I'd never worked in London as an actor before. I'd never put on a play, and there's so many things I didn't know you'd have to do until doing it, the producing side, and we had a team with us, but it was very challenging to write it and to be in it and to direct it because you want to look at it from the outside. So you have to sort of get out your head a bit and, okay, now I'm directing it, think about this. Now I'm writing it, think about this. So I learned a lot doing it, and I'm glad I did it with Kitty because we worked very well together, and I think it would have been overwhelming by myself, but I think we sort of supported each other, and it was just, the play itself is about women supporting women, and I feel like our team, we had a producer who's also a woman, like our team also echoed that, so I learned a lot, but I'm really glad I did it. I hope so, yes, definitely. I'd like to do something else with Kitty. We've now, from the back of this, established a theatre company called Pistachio Theatre, which is cool, and we want to do more stories that centre women in the narrative. I want to bring my Arab heritage into this and do some, maybe 1001 Arabian Nights, something like that on stage, and so definitely want to write more because it's a really hard industry to be in as an actor at times, and it's really hard to, in the beginning of your career, to get the opportunities to perform or to get the opportunities to be seen. So if you can write something as well yourself, then you can make it happen. Sure. So just to begin with, like when you're writing something, so much of it is research, as you'll know. So you have to do so much research and reading about things. And so when I was looking into 1001 Arabian Nights, which is like the most classic sort of Arab tale that people know of, and I start finding these other small things, and it just made me feel like, wow, there's so many avenues here I want to explore. And through lockdown, actually, I met a group of other Arab creatives in London. Some are Palestinian, some are Egyptian, Lebanese, but loads and loads of people. And they're all, like me, half British or half Arab or, mixed diaspora. And so to meet these people that are also creative and work with them was really, really very wholesome feeling, because before that I didn't know many other Arab creatives. And so it can feel a bit isolating at times to have like a mixed heritage and feel like you're the only one that has this, or you're the only one that has this and writes or directs. And so to find other people like that meant that I'll read their work and I'll learn about their stories, and it just really encourages you to empower yourself and like feel proud of your heritage and stuff. So through that and learning Darija now, which I'm learning and trying, has really helped me feel more whole and feel more like I know more about my culture and my experience of it, at least. عادي. عادي, because it feels very comforting. There's not really like a word like that in English where you just say, oh, it's normal. You say, oh, it's normal, don't worry about it. It's like so lengthy, but just go عادي. It feels very like, okay, very reassuring. And I think as well, because I make a lot of mistakes, like كنجرب نتعلم دريجة ولكن ماشي مزيان دايما. أيوة, sometimes I make mistakes and someone goes ماشي مشكلة عادي عادي, and I'm like, شكرا. Lul, I would always say acting. Before شحال هادي دايما هادي, because this is always what I wanted to do and I never had a question of that. ولكن دابا شوية I find that my writing, it's easier to get work through this, and so I do more of it. But they're both, I love them both. I still think acting is number one, but I still think acting is number one, but writing I seem to find more like pathways to do. And like poetry, for example, I did something at the Bush Theatre recently, which was a Deen and Dunya night in Ramadan, and so we had like a spoken word night. There's a few Muslim artists that came up and performed, and then afterwards we went iftar together, and so there's definitely a sense of community through that, which is really nice. I would love to play, I don't know if there's a story out there with this character, but maybe I'll write it, maybe me and my friends will write it. I want to play someone that is mixed Moroccan British, just because I think I've never seen this myself on TV. I've never seen that, and often in the industry sometimes being mixed and I'm very pale and stuff, I can be told you don't look Arab enough to play this Arab character, you don't look English enough to play this English character, and it can be quite imposter syndrome inducing and difficult at times to hear this, because I am Arab and English, so when someone's telling you not enough of something, it's difficult. So I would love to play a character that is both of these things, so that other creatives or other people out there don't feel like they have to be one or another, but to be both itself is like a really great thing. So at the moment, I'm currently writing a short film, which is a clowning film, so kind of Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton-esque, but Arab, and it's a Muslim clown character. So this would be really cool because I've never seen this before. I've never seen a female Arab silent film clown. So I'm looking forward to this, and it's kind of tying together some of the Darija I've been learning and some of the English I've been learning. So this is my next film endeavour. I'm hopefully doing some more spoken word events in London to like do more poetry, and then as I mentioned, Kitty and I have created Pistachio Theatre, so we want to try and launch an event or a show this year. Would be really cool to put something else on, but I definitely want the next thing we do to have some Moroccan culture in it, so that would be what I'd like to do next. Yeah, so at first, like the beginning of lockdown, when I first met these other Arab creators in London, I'd barely seen any Arab cinema because I didn't understand the language, and so I just thought, I don't know where to find it. There's not a lot of it on UK media, so it was just very inaccessible. But through meeting them and being part of an Arab film club, which my friend Sarah set up, now every month we watch an Arab film somewhere from I get to rep from Morocco, but we have Egyptian films, Syrian films, Lebanese films. It surprised me how female-centred some of these stories are, in a way that I don't think they always are in Western cinema, which I kind of didn't expect. So like Nadine Lavaki, I've been watching a lot of her stuff recently, and she directs and she writes and she acts, and she's such a brilliant actor, and all of her characters are so three-dimensional. And so I've been really impressed by how female-led a lot of the film industry is. You just have to know where to find it. And I saw, I think on your guys' news, that Netflix has given a grant to some Moroccan female filmmakers, which is great, so I'm going to be looking out for their work as well. So I feel like, at least from my experience in London or England, it's not necessarily advertised how much female film cinema is out there, but the more I look, the more I find. And so it's definitely there, and it's definitely very impressive. There's such a beautiful colour, and I think from what I've seen, Moroccan cinema is very romantic in its use of colours and music and stuff, and so I really sort of artistically love that. So yeah, I'm very proud of it and I want to be part of it.